What's up, dudes? My name is Nick. Welcome back for what apparently is becoming a super rare album review as we take a look and talk a little bit more about the debut album from a boy group called The Boyz. And the album's title is The First because, of course, it is the first album from The Boyz, or the first debut album from The Boyz, although it is their only debut album. And so we're gonna stop talking like that, and we're really just gonna get into this. First, I kind of want to lead that I have, since the middle of the year, kind of been doing my best, depending on how I feel about the album, or how much I really kind of care about to do it, is to actually give albums a number score towards the end after I kind of like talk about it and stuff like that. It's kind of broken down on an average of different categories and stuff like that I kind of look and evaluate these albums on. But I'm not going to do that for this one. I just want to talk about it. We're not going to give it a score. It just is. It is the way that I want to do it for this one. So it's my channel, my rules. That's all I got to say. So let's really kind of just get into it. And we're gonna kind of go back a little bit to my comments that I kind of made when I covered the music video, when I covered their song, or the promo song for this album called Boy. And this album, similar to that song, has a sort of generic K-pop feel to it that's obviously that's very obvious, that it's really difficult to, of course, to miss and to not think, or it's really easy to think that this album and that song is really just like a generic sort of K-pop album and K-pop song. And if that's true, and if that is actually the case, then that's not a criticism in any way, because you gotta look at it in the context of this song, of Boy as a song, and this entire album being their first album, as the title of the album suggests. Then they need to kind of release something that is going to be marketable, and that is going to be something that people, the masses, every single person in K-pop that listens to K-pop will actually enjoy. So they don't get the freedom of creativity that being from one of the big three companies in K-pop, or being BTS because you're super successful, or being anything like that. They don't necessarily get that creativity because they have to build up that audience and that fan base before they can do that. So that is why you get a debut album that sounds just like generic K-pop music. Like I said, it's not a criticism, it's kind of a business necessity. And at the end of the day, the real question is whether they kind of executed on that sort of game plan well or not. And I have to say that they actually really did execute on that aspect of the game plan really, really well. What's really impressed me, and what has actually driven me to, of course, talk about this album in a little bit more detail, is the fact that they did that. And then I think they took it a little step further with their music. So for this one, I don't normally do this super frequently, but we're going to kind of break it down by through most of the songs on this album, and talk about them briefly, because each of them are kind of unique and have a little bit of their own, extra depth to them that you might not necessarily realize, or that is not obvious. Because I have got one comment on my music video reaction where somebody had kind of shared that there are a lot of people who are saying that Boy, and I would also, guess that by extension, this album is just generic, not really impressive. But I personally think there's a lot more to the songs on this album than what you would first get when you listen to this song, or any song on this album one time, or even a couple more times. Because as I listened to these songs more, I realized that there was just more and more and more to these songs that I really, really liked about them. So first off, going back to their promo song, Boy, it's the first song on the album, the first full song on the album. They get a little 60 trillion second little intro thing, really kind of cool, kind of sets the tone for the first song. And as I said in my reaction video, I said that song it kind of follows the trending sound of 2017, which is tropical house. Right? That's 100%. Nobody can really deny the fact that is the thing that 90% of K-pop songs have been this year, and that it's no doubt a really enjoyable sound to listen to, and it is definitely something that has brought a lot of group success, and so a lot of other people are doing it. The thing that this song, that is different about this song though, is that it does follow that trend, but as I said in my reaction video, there is no tropical influence in this song at all. It's really just, I guess you can say, it's just house. And that's definitely something that is very, very cool. It's a little bit of a, I guess you can say it's a little bit of a throwback to a couple of years back in K-pop where, you know, you were just starting, well, I mean, you always have had some sort of electronic synth pop-ish kind of thing going in K-pop, and it is kind of potentially a little bit of a rollback to that, although it is with a much more, you know, with a 2017 sound instead of being something that sounds like it's from 2010 or 2015 or something like that. It definitely sounds much more modern. So, you know, it sounds very, very familiar, and like it's trending, and it could fit in that lane of everyone who's done, you know, tropical house, but in actuality it is in a lane just next to all of the tropical house songs, and that actually is the thing that sets that song specifically apart from everyone else. It's really, really closely related, but it is just a little bit different in my opinion. The song that follows that is a song called Walking in Time, which is really, 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 really good. It's probably, all of these songs are probably going to be songs that people sleep on and that they just don't pay much attention to, just like they won't pay much attention to this group. And it's kind of unfortunate because these songs, I think, are gems. They're not like the most mind-blowingly amazing songs that you've ever listened to, but you definitely probably will find one song on here that you enjoy, or you, at the very least, you will not absolutely hate these songs, I'm pretty sure. But Walking in Time is a song that I think is really, really great. It starts off as a really nice, like you're thinking it's gonna be one of those, you know, K-pop songs. It's got a 100%, you know, sort of R&B influence to it. The first verse, the intro verse of this song, definitely gives you the idea that we're gonna have a, you know, slow vocal song, and it's going to be something that has some, you know, some pretty substantial and I think heavy, I guess, R&B vibes to it. But when they get into the chorus, or when you transition into like the actual meat of the song, what they kind of do is they infuse, that they mix it up really, really well. Like I think probably like a 50-50 split on the R&B aspect of this and what I would call like an older synth pop sort of sound to it. So it kind of is, how would I kind of describe it? Because I don't want to necessarily say 80s. We'll say 90s. How about 90s? It sounds something that's like late 90s, early 2000s, I suppose. Sort of synth pop. And it's really, really, really good. So of course that whole synth pop, because that's kind of the genre that K-pop is sort of founded on, that in and of itself isn't something that's really kind of spectacular, but it is the, you know, sound quality and I guess the era of influence that they've pulled from to infuse into a R&B sort of thing is really, really cool. And then of course I also really kind of enjoy the fact that they tricked me into thinking that the song was going to be one thing by introducing the song one way, and then completely, after doing a little bridge and an interlude thing, a little transition period, gave us something that is completely different and vastly more interesting than what they started the song with. It's really, really good. I think that this song at points in time definitely kind of course gives me makes me think that the title of the song is perfectly fitting, because it does kind of remind me of, you know, like from older movies from like maybe the 90s, late 80s, early 2000s, where you get portions of the video of the movie, I should say, where either you're like kind of reflecting back on past times, or you're just enjoying the time that you're having right now in those sorts of movies. So it kind of definitely has a little bit of a movie soundtrack you know, vibe to it. But of course it's from movie soundtracks from like 15-20 years ago potentially, and that's something that's different. It's also a period in time that you don't really hear a whole lot of influence in K-pop as well. 80s, early 90s, you know, definitely a thing. That's definitely something that you hear pretty frequently in K-pop. Something later than that or more recent, it's not really something that's heard too frequently, and I think that is really, really good. The final song that I want to talk to, which is my absolute favorite song on this album, is the third song, the fourth track, called Got It. And this song right here has got an absolute heavy trap influence to it in my mind, to my ears. I listen to this song and all I'm hearing, of course, is the K-pop vibe to the song that's super easy, makes it really easily digestible and appreciated by a wide group of fans, but it is very heavily based on a genre of music that would turn a lot of people away because it's not something that is necessarily palatable or appreciated by the masses. It's something that is much more unique and focused down on a certain group of people. And I think that that is fantastic. Trap music is something, it kind of had a little bit of a brief period in K-pop where it was popular and people did it. It's really good. It's a really sort of interesting kind of influence to draw into music. It's not necessarily I don't think the most obvious in this specific song, because like I said, they did a really good job with all these songs really, of blending two different genres. One that is much more, mainstream acceptable within K-pop, and one that isn't necessarily, but could potentially have been a really good sort of mix to kind of mesh them together and see what comes out. And this song is really good. So, like I said, I guess the general description of the song would be that it's trap mixed with a much more familiar electronic sound to K-pop fans, and that's going to make it something that people would enjoy more. The reason why one of the reasons why I like this, of course, that's the main reason why I like this, but another reason, as you think about it more, as I sat back and I thought about this, I was like, if this song could definitely be, adapted a little bit more, of course, if they kind of eliminated that whole electronic popular K-pop, the pop kind of thing with the song, if they kind of adapted it and did stuff like that, this could be actually a really decent song, or it would fit pretty okay, I think, with the releases of NCT 127, which they're the group that has been doing, trap style stuff and others like serious hip hop kind of stuff in K-pop. And I think this song potentially, if they adjusted it and they tweaked it and they made some pretty big changes to the song, so it didn't sound like a song from the Boyz anymore, but they could make the song something that sounded very familiar and would fit in really well with all the different songs that NCT 127 has listened to. So that's really it. The final song on this album, I really don't like it because of the pitch of the vocals during the chorus. It just is really grating on my ears. Other than that, the rest of the song is really enjoyable, but the high pitched vocals are just don't do it for me, and they get kind of annoying, and they start to grate on my ears and my mind as I listen to that song more and more. So overall, as I've already walked through every single song on this album, the album at the very surface level seems a little generic, seems a little kind of like your basic K-pop release, and it is to a certain extent, because they have to do that as a brand new group to get people's attention and to not turn potential fans away. You want to release music that is the least offensive music that you possibly can, something that is going to be the most widely accepted and most widely enjoyed, to attract fans and to build that fan base, that you can have the ability to be more creative. But what they've done a really good job of, I think, is in a number of songs on this album, they've kind of mixed in a less popular genre of music to provide a really good, interesting layer below the surface level that everybody is kind of noticing right off the bat. And that's something that, like, they're going to attract people initially, and they will also, at the more as time goes on, they will definitely keep the people who are much more interested in the other things, the other elements about this music that I kind of have potentially pulled out and shared with you guys. So that's going to be all that I've got for this album review. We didn't really intend for this to be as long as it is, so I'm sorry about that, but hopefully you guys found that interesting enough to listen all the way to the end. If you did, like, boy, do I appreciate it. I'm really super glad that you did. Share your thoughts and opinions on this song, on this album. If you haven't listened to it, you definitely should, of course, so that you can talk about this in the comments below. I definitely would would encourage that. And so the question of the video is going to be, as I think it's going to be more or less with every single album review that I do, what is your favorite song off of this album and why? So share your answers to that question, and of course your just general thoughts about this album. Don't be afraid to share whatever it is that you think, whether you like this album or any of the songs or not, because we're trying to build a community here that is all about having some free and open discussion about our thoughts and opinions, no matter what they are. So if that is a community that you are interested in becoming a part of, then please do consider clicking on the subscribe button down below. So that is going to be it for this video. As always, I want to thank you for watching, and I will see you all next time.